The day of her funeral, it was sunny and bitter cold, even for Wisconsin's January standards. We had what I call snow sparkles. It wasn't a true snow. It was more like the intermittent essence of snow that swirled in midair, and you could really only catch glimpses of it when the sun hit the tinier than usual flakes at just the right angle. Her funeral was a 2-day event, the showing in the evening and the mass the next morning. That is a long time to smile, even for me, but my 2-day smile was sincere. Hundreds and hundreds of people taking time out of their lives as they stood in line for what must have seemed like forever, just so they could pass her small casket and hug our family, which now numbered 4. It took 2 decades for me to reopen her autopsy, but that morning I was ready. 12 pages in length, yet relatively inconclusive. The final sentence declaring her to have an undiagnosed, degenerative neuromuscular disorder. She was 7 years old. And once again, I'm smiling, even though I just finished reading a technical document that reduced my daughter to nothing more than body parts, tissue samples, organ weights, and measurements. I'm smiling. A huge, genuine smile, because nestled within the first page, second paragraph of the autopsy, I read these words. Her auburn hair was in a loose side braid. You see, I braided her hair that night, and I never braided her hair. My little girl had a lifelong posse of incredible caregivers. There were 6 nurses doing 8-hour shifts, 3 shifts a day, 7 days a week. And in addition to being stellar home health care providers, these women knew how to braid. They were fast and efficient. They could make fat braids or skinny braids or even those thick and close to the head braids that looked like a flat headband made out of hair. They were good at braiding, and they knew it. That night, her very last night, after 7 years of illness, shortly after my only daughter died, I unbraided her hair one final time, and with her nurse's assistance, we slipped her into clean jammies. Together, we placed her gently in the center of a homemade quilt, one that I labored over specifically for this moment in time, and then kept it packed away until that night. It was a simple log cabin pattern in shades of deep purple with just a little bit of sage, green, and a splash of vivid color, the 3 colors she always wore best. I quietly asked the nurse to step outside for a few moments, and then all alone, for the very first time, I braided my daughter's hair. It was slippery hair, and there was a lot of it. Each strand had a decent sheen to it, too. I gathered it off to one side as I finger-combed it, watching it, mesmerized as it bounced back into a tight curl each time I straightened it. I gathered it off to one side, and a little bit of a twist I started braiding right below the earlobe, and I kept braiding until there was just about a ½ an inch left, and I tied it off with a tiny brown elastic hairband. I realized my final, most intimate maternal act had happened just moments after she died and had been captured as the prelude to her autopsy. Her auburn hair was in a loose side braid. That was my braid. She was my daughter.